The Full-Time Review Show is brought to you and supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental. And also by Craig International, a truly global company with 10 offices strategically placed around the world. The future of global procurement is right here. And we're also sponsored by Steadfast Scotland, manufacturers of high-integrity stud bolts and special fasteners, globally recognised as your market leader and solution provider for bespoke quality bolting and safety critical components. It's now 10 without a win. It's 5 successive defeats. It was oh so frustrating yesterday at Fir Park as the Dons went down by 2-0. In terms of the table, it means this. So we stay in 4th place. Thankfully, with teams in and around us dropping points, apart from Motherwell, of course, it means that we are still within touching distance of Dundee United. But oh my God, there is so much work to be done after another really disappointing showing. Hi everybody, how you doing? A very warm welcome to Ali Beg ABTV. So I'm bringing you this show from my brother's place in London. So this is a pre-recorded show. This is not live. So there'll be no live chat this evening. It's pre-recorded. But thank you so much for watching. And I really hope the background and everything won't spoil your enjoyment this evening. So here we are again. Honestly, I was watching the game yesterday, and after a very bright start where I thought we actually played okay, I thought, do you know what? Maybe we're starting to find our form again. If we can just keep our composure, not do anything silly, remain compact, we might get something from today's game, and then it all goes horribly wrong. Tonight, what I'm going to be doing is I'm on with Andrew Budge. So we've analysed the game. And what we've done is we've looked at how well we actually started the game and how well our press was working and how we were getting back to the way we were playing at the beginning of the season. But then what we've also done on the flip side is look at where things started to go wrong round about the 35 minute mark. And again, it's the same pattern. We keep giving away cheap passes. We keep giving away possession. We're not strong enough. We're not winning second balls. Is there a mentality issue? Are these players not psychologically strong enough anymore? What is going wrong? What I have done this morning is I've asked you to leave your comments on my social media pages, which you've done in your droves. So thank you so much for that. And what I'll do is I'll read them all out during the recording today. Andrew Budge is coming up very shortly. Normal housekeeping stuff as well tonight. So what we're going to do before we get into all the analysis, there was some sort of gossip coming out of the club last night. I don't know if you saw this post on social media from the 1903 Express Supporters Club. Now, this wasn't the Latvian defender. This was actually Jeppe Ockels, who arrived into the airport yesterday. And according to reports, the move is a loan deal from Preston North End to begin with, but there is an option on the move. He played for Jimmy at Elfsborg, sold him for 3 million to Utrecht last season. He is a 24-year-old Danish winger, which makes me think, if we're bringing in cover in that position, who's going to be missing out? Because Toppy, I thought yesterday did fine. Thought he did okay. Again, slightly frustrated that he didn't play on the left. Juk, what's going to happen with Juk? Shaden Morris, what's going to happen with Shaden Morris? So a very interesting move if they get the deal across the line. So that happened last night. Okay, at the time of recording, which is roughly sort of coming up to 4 o'clock UK time, no word from the football club whatsoever. Team news from yesterday's game. And again, the manager made 4 changes. And Andrew Budge and I actually discussed this in our chat. So Ross Duan kept his place in goal because Dimitar remains injured and will be out for at least another 2 to 3 weeks. Nielsen replaced Jamie McGrath, who dropped down to the bench. Ante Palaversa started in front of Leighton Clarkson. Kevin Nisbet, he replaced the injured Esther Sokla, who's going to be missing for a while as well. And Angus MacDonald started with Gavin Malloy now also injured as well. So all of a sudden, we are very, very short at the back. Gavin Malloy, out. Jack Milne, out. Esther Sokla, out. Dimitar Mitov, out. And it just goes to show the hard work that's going to have to be done by Stephen Gunn and our new head of recruitment, particularly in this January transfer window. So let's bring you the match stats as well before I bring on Andrew for you. So overall, we actually enjoyed more possession throughout the game than the home side. And we actually had more shots in... we sort of had more shots at goal. But, again, only 2 of them were on target, which is becoming a huge sense of frustration. Passes in the final third, 61 to their 72, and touches in the opposite box was 29 to their 27. So, let me just clear the timeline for you so that I can get Andrew on. And then what we'll do is we'll go through the analysis with Andrew, and then I'll start reading out all your comments that you've left on the social media pages. So first and foremost, just let me bring in Andrew. Just let me get him in. There he is. Okay. So this is what Andrew and I did. So we discussed what was a bright start, and then we started to discuss what went wrong in the game. So welcome back to the show, Andrew Budge. Hi, Andrew. It's great to see you as always. Thank you so much for jumping on. I'm delighted that your move went well. Okay, so we've got a lot to talk about today. First and foremost, before we get into the sort of the analytical stuff, I'd like to ask you about the amount of changes that the manager is making to the side on a weekly basis. Obviously, some of it is forced due to suspensions, but there appears to be a pattern that it's 4 changes every game. And a few people have commented about it. Do you think it's an issue, and do you think it's starting to unsettle us?
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of sympathise with you. I mean, to be honest, it's a real sign that we're just really struggling right now, and he maybe doesn't know what his best team is and which players he can really trust at the moment. Whoever he brings in doesn't really seem to be performing. Earlier in the season, substitutes he was bringing on would be having huge impact in games, or when he would sort of reshuffle the lineup, it would have a big positive impact. But I do sympathise with him. It's the players he's bringing in just aren't doing the business right now, and it is concerning.
Okay, let's get on with the analytics. So first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to start on a more positive note, because we've been crying out for weeks for us to start games strongly and to get on the front foot straight away. And we saw evidence of this yesterday in the opening quarter of the game.
Yeah, I thought it was actually start off with sounds silly to say this after a loss, but one of our more positive performances of late. I appreciate it's quite a low bar we've set for ourselves pretty recently, but I thought we did start the game really quite well. So Shinnie was deployed in a bit of a higher position than usual. So what that meant was he was sort of leading our press at points and really pushing forward and really unsettling some of the Motherwell backline. So I thought he actually did really well, and we've pulled that out in one of the examples here. So you can see him. Let's pull that one up now. Yeah, he's in a more advanced position. He wins the ball upfield and it starts a really positive counter attack. So what we can see there is Duke and Shinnie driving forward after they've won the ball back, really looking to exploit the space that's in front of them. Then this example actually leads to quite a decent opportunity for Duke when he's cutting in on his right foot and he tests the goalkeeper. It's a bit of a tame effort, but certainly it was really good signs to see us start the game positively after quite a few weeks of a slow start. So I was definitely a positive for sure from that.
Overall, I thought, again, in the opening 15, 20 minutes, I thought our high press was most definitely making a difference. And again, you've picked out another example of where it was working.
Yeah. I thought Motherwell were quite passive overall, and we just sort of went at them from the start, which I really liked. In this example, as you mentioned, Motherwell have a goal kick, and we really pushed them forward and tried to sort of pin them back in their own half, which was great. It forces Oxborough, the Motherwell goalkeeper, to put a pretty sloppy pass into the centre of the pitch, which Palaverse intercepts. He then finds Keskinen out wide, does a great job of driving down the line, cutting the ball back. But as you can see from the example, you've got three Aberdeen attackers here, Shinnie, Duke, and Nisbet, all firing into the 6 yard box, but none of them hang back, or no one's got the instinct there just to sort of create space for themselves or see where the ball could land. So Keflin cuts it back, and no one's there to convert the cross, which is really frustrating. If you compare that to earlier in the season where you've got sort of Nisbet's goal in Dingwall, he there has the instinct just to hand back as everyone else sort of piles into the box and has a great finish in that instance. But no one appeared to do that there, which is really frustrating because it's a really good opportunity and great work from Keskinen, who I thought again had a really good game.
I thought it was such a shame because I thought overall the performance was much improved. I thought we were doing well. I thought we were quite settled. And then all of a sudden, I just don't know what happened, but roughly round about the half-hour mark, we just seemed to lose control of the game. And again, you've pinpointed reasons why we might have lost control of the game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like we're almost saying this every week now, and Jimmy says it a lot as well, that we just hand momentum of games over to our opponents, where we sometimes have decent spells of the game, and out of nowhere, we'll look really on edge and uncomfortable. So we started positively, but as you said, about half an hour in, Nilsson loses the ball really sort of really cheaply in the centre of the park, starts a dangerous counter attack for Motherwell, and that really just gives them momentum. It gets their fans up, and it's so sloppy. We just don't need to be doing that, and it's just gifting the onus of the game to them. In that instance, it was within 10 seconds of the ball being turned over and Nilsson being dispossessed. You see Tony Watt finds himself in space on the edge of the penalty box. It's a really good chance. Palversa does well to block the cross or to block the shot, but it's just really frustrating that we're just gifting these opportunities to them.
Mm. Look, it's very difficult to do anything over a slip on the football pitch when you lose your footing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think that Angus has put himself in such a predicament that there's almost a panic on the ball, which potentially has almost caused him to slip because all of a
Yeah,
sudden he's not in control of the football and he can see that. And again, it's just another example that you're highlighting of where we're losing momentum, losing the ball cheaply, and it almost ends up in a goal.
Yeah, this is, as you said, another example. I think that this is 32 minutes that happened. The example before was 31 minutes. So it's a real sort of sense of panic in the team at this point, sort of 30 to 35 minutes just before the opening goal. As you said, McDonald is carrying the ball forward, which is what you don't want McDonald to be doing. I don't think he's the most sort of progressive passer or carrier of the ball. And he just gets himself into a bit of a mix up and loses his footing, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it's another case of us gifting sort of dangerous transitions to Motherwell. In this instance, Coletta drives down the pitch, sort of 10 seconds after we lose the ball, cuts the ball back. Really great opportunity for Motherwell. It's a really dangerous goal scoring opportunity. Thankfully, we clear our lines. But again, this is another within a 5 minute spell where we're just gifting opportunities to them. And looking at it, it was only really a matter of time before they were going to score, which is only minutes after this. It's just really frustrating that, again, this is almost the first bit of adversity we faced in the match, and we just mentally folded after a really good start. But it's just more repeat of more issues that we've seen from previous games, which is a shame.
Mm. Just to finish off, Andrew, we've got a huge window coming up, and it's quite obvious the fact that Nielsen and Palavara had to go into Palavara, I beg your pardon, had to play a centre back after he's hooked McDonald. Ruby gets sent off, so it's going to be some month for the head of recruitment at the football club, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think he's just sort of new in the door as well, or being promoted to
Yeah.
that role as well. So he's, yeah, he's got a lot. Hopefully, he's been doing things in the background before then. But yeah, I think it did say a lot that McDonald got substituted at halftime tactically rather than I think an injury to be replaced by sort of a centre mid. So I really we're down to the bare bones in defence in particular. So yeah, I really need some reinforcements. There was the sort of Latvian defender we're being linked with. Hopefully, something like that can come through pretty quickly. But yeah, things need to happen or move very quickly because yeah, we're really struggling at the moment.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, as always, for coming
No
on. It's great
problem.
to see you. And we'll
Yeah,
see you again after the Hearts game next weekend.
yeah. Cheers, Alan.
Brilliant. Take care. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you so much, as always, Andrew. Right, this is what the manager had to say. We have to find a way to stop this happening because when opponents have momentum, we're not strong enough to resist. It can be 10 minutes, sometimes 15, but it costs us a lot right now. It's my job to find a way together with the players to be more stable. You can't control 90 minutes, but when opponents have momentum, we are not strong enough right now. He finished off by saying, I think in the second half today, you can see the character of the players on the pitch, and this is a positive thing. We are on a bad run. 2-0 against us, playing with 10 men, but still, they're trying. And as long as they have this spirit and they try, then we will find a way out. I have to say that I actually thought the lads played really well in the second half yesterday, did an awful lot better, obviously, than the first half. And it was so interesting to see Polvara and Nielsen playing as a centre-back partnership. And, with no disrespect meant at all to Ruby, less said the better, and to Angus, we just looked much more solid. And for me, that's absolutely frightening. And it cannot be the way we go going forward. With Ruby, what I will say is, I've said it before, I think there's a player there, but he just makes the worst of decisions. He doesn't take time to think. Tony Watt absolutely sold him a dummy. We know what Tony is like. He's a wind-up merchant. He's going to get under your skin. He's going to annoy you. Yes, he's gone down ridiculously theatrically, which I found rather embarrassing. But take that absolutely nothing away from what Ruby did. It was a moment of stupidity, and it cost us big time. And look what happened literally 30 seconds after the red card. So much for the manager to think about. So much. Right, what I'm going to do to finish off is read out the comments from you guys that came in on my social pages. And it's quite safe to say all of you are raging. And that's putting it mildly. Scott Bowie says, Ruby, in terms of Ruby, he just needed to walk away from Watt regardless of what he might have said. Just can't see him changing his game or his attitude, which is just going to cost us going forward. Mark Smith says, Ruby and McDonald need released immediately, neither anywhere near close to the minimum standard that we require. I thought Duke was excellent at Motherwell. Kevin Carmichael said the defence is a shambles. We simply don't have the players to play out from the back and either get caught or just hoof it. The amount of unforced errors in every single game is amateurish. Our attack is toothless. Team organisation, shape is shabby, with too many spaces, and we are far too easily split open with one ball. He went on to say, the tempo is also far too slow and ponderous, with far too much sterile possession. Backwards, sideways, to me, to you, and then back to the goalkeeper, playing like a rabble just now. Doug Smith says, Jimmy says same things after every game. Train, we'll stick together, we'll keep humble, but no solution to this carnage. Looks to me like he's been found out. Since our cup run where we lost 6-0, there's been no team worse. I'm depressed before the game starts, as you know what's going to happen. Murray Wright says, get the checkbook out, Mr. Cormack. Commanding defenders and strikers sorely needed. I'm used to the Dons letting us down, but this run of form is something special, he says. How can this be the same group of players that couldn't stop winning months ago? Lorraine Baxter says, I believe the cup is half full rather than half empty. It's been a terrible winless run, but we're still fourth in the league. John Bleasdale says, as much as this run is infuriating, the last thing we need is a change of manager. Yemi Talene has a decent track record and has enough credit in the bank to get the chance to turn it around. John went on to say, there are other areas within the club on and off the pitch that need to be addressed before the manager. When are we going to realise that changing manager every January or February doesn't solve the long-term issues? Gordon Miller, he's being optimistic. He says we're still in a good position compared to last season. Neil McDonald says the transfer window is a must. How we play better with 10 players than 11. No central defenders is a concern. Looking at the red card incident, Neil says he didn't see too much in it. John Moore, on the red card. Ruby was silly. It was a silly red card. Always thought we were in the game. And the last 3 games haven't been as bad as the ones before. We showed a bit of heart, particularly in the second half. John says he's optimistic that JT can turn it around, and with a few more new faces, lack of defenders is scary, and it must be a priority. It's a good point, John. El Molino Mills says, I think McKenzie has been poor since coming back from injury. His forward play is poor and he's constantly caught out of position. Denise Ray says he needs to give the youngsters a go at least. They would have some fight and wanting to impress more than the players that we currently have. David Gold says, I don't know what to say at this point, but what he does say is that Ruby is a liability. John Dorwood said it's clear that we need new blood. Those who aren't playing for a contract aren't competing as they had before. Some players need a rest and we need a better squad. Results flattered at the start, but similarity, it's not a true reflection on how we've been in some games during this bad run. We will get there. We will stay positive, he says. Scott Bowie says the defence is indefensible at the moment. Yesterday for 10 minutes, just getting caught out of position, balls over the top. I'm not putting any blame on Duhan, who has done really okay since coming in. Also next season, Polvara should be made captain. Interesting point. Lewis Finney says it's now becoming an embarrassment. Manager makes too many changes every week. We need a settled team. We've got to stop the slide. The league is based on the last 10 matches. So what Lewis did was he put up a graphic of the form guide from the last 10 matches played between all the sides in the Scottish Premiership, and Aberdeen are right at the bottom. It's frightening. The turnaround is frightening. Stuart Cleary says we really need these new recruits to come in and make immediate improvements, but bedding in time might be against us. Has this bunch of players just given up on Yimmy, or is it everyone has just cottoned on to our tactics? He also wasn't impressed with what Ruby did yesterday. Derek Beattie says the luck that we had at the start of the season has now deserted us. A few breaks are definitely going against us, hitting the woodwork, etc. I think the form is slightly better in the last few games, but we're still finding innovative ways to lose matches. Linda Hutton says she's at a complete loss as to what's going on. You look at the stats after the game and they're not that bad, which definitely doesn't reflect the play on the park. Matthew Cool says the turnaround in the team in the second half was good to see, but too little, too late. Polvara looked good at centre half, but we just have absolutely nothing up top. Graham Watson also said it was a decent second half showing. Irrespective of the red card or not, it was very poor by Ruby, not playing a simple pass, and instead of knocking the ball out, the incident came from that poor play. Paul Donaldson said the second half was a big improvement on the first, but we need to play like that for the full 90 minutes in every match. A couple of moments of madness in the first half have cost us the game. The red card looked possibly a bit harsh, but Ruby's reaction to being provoked and Tony Watt's theatrics have given the referee an excuse to show a red card. Gareth Harmon says that he liked the character of the team in the second half, but the defending in the first half was woeful. He also says he's more than happy to pack Duke's suitcases for him. Keith Wood says we basically had the same squad of players who have played this poorly a few times in the past. It's time for a complete clear out. was also a few that came up on X, so I'll just read some of them out for you. Alan S basically said, we should have been comfortable in second place, as Sefco have been dropping points, but since the Cup semi-final thumping, it's been an absolute disaster. Not finishing in the top six is a real possibility, and Elgin has the potential of another Darvel if we do not improve. Colin Gale says, I thought we played well in the second half. Clarkson was unlucky with his attempt, but he says that Duhan is very solid. Alan came back to say that too many mediocre or disinterested players. We need two new centre-backs, a left-back, a goal scorer as a minimum during this window. Played better with no centre-backs yesterday, but unfair on Polvara and Nielsen to do that unless in emergency. Can't see where the next wing is coming from, as he's got no confidence in the side at the moment. Martin Smith says, our Achilles heel is not stopping crosses coming in. When fullbacks are high up and the ball is played down the channel, our centre-backs are too slow to close that down. And when fullbacks don't stop crosses, we seem to get suckered into the middle and leave free midfield runners at the far post. He went on to say, we need two new centre-backs and one who attacks the ball and one who can step out of defence to get us forward and not passing sideways. We need cover at both fullbacks and a striker who can score goals. Guys, we're just about done. We've done nearly half an hour of a pre-recorded show, so thank you so much for all the comments that you left on my socials. And thank you again to Andrew. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. So we will be back for the preview show ahead of the Hearts game. Keep an eye on my socials because I don't actually get back until Saturday afternoon to Salzburg. By the time I get back, it might be a little bit too late to do a preview show, so I might do it on the Sunday morning. But just keep an eye on my socials because it all depends what time I get back from London into Salzburg on the Saturday night. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope it's not spoiled too much of enjoyment not being in the normal studio environment. Try and have a good week. I'll see you soon. Stand free.